This is Nothing Coherent. I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Ryan.
So this is a little different for our podcast video casting with everything going on. We're trying out a new format of Skype calling each other and seeing how this works. So this way you get the video we've been talking about for a while, and
Yeah,
we get to stay safe.
unfortunately, I don't have a webcam. I went around looking for one like the last few days. I can't find that or toilet paper anywhere, so apparently people are stockpiling on webcams too. Anyway, how are you guys doing? Like, doing okay? Had an okay week?
Yeah, I'm alive,
Yeah, I mean it's chaotic.
Yeah, I mean,
and I have a nice big fat 24 pack of toilet paper, so
oh,
I'm
I'm
good.
jealous. I have like
I mean we
three
have
rolls left.
we have a lot of toilet paper.
I have like none. So,
Well, I before this whole like chaos started, I stocked up because I saw a bunch of people buying it. I was like, maybe I shouldn't buy this, but maybe I should. And now I'm
I
really
saw the
glad that
memes and I
I
was like, "Oh,
impulse.
that'll never happen here." And then it happened here. So, I'm struggling. Like I check every day before I go into work or anything. I'm just going to check to see I have like $20 set aside just for toilet paper if I see it to be like, "Okay, I need this for bathroom reasons." So, anyway, we're doing a movie review that we saw 2 weeks ago. We're
Yeah, it's been
doing.
a little bit.
It's been like 10 days or so before all the theaters started to shut down. We all got together and we saw one final movie, which is The Way Back with Ben Affleck. Um, so I guess one of you guys can start. What were your initial thoughts?
I mean, I liked it. It's not like a masterpiece. It was enjoyable. Like, I mean, like from start to finish, I was invested. I cared what happened.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things about the movie, it's kind of a little bit misleading. I wouldn't put it in the category of sports movie. It has a basketball theme. He's a coach a little bit, but really, like 80% of the movie doesn't have to do with anything or even mention basketball, really. I mean, it's more of just a look into his life and his growth from his struggles, which, I mean, any sports movie, there is like that internal kind of deal. But if you look at the advertisements or the trailers, I should say, you feel like it's a little bit more basketball based. At least, on the story of turning around a team, which he does do that, but it's not if you're going in there, oh, I haven't seen a sports movie in a long time, which it has been a while since a good sports movie has came out, kind of thing, the underdog kind of story. But it doesn't have that much to do with sports in general or basketball specifically. So, and that's kind of one of the biggest things that kind of caught my eye, just kind of going through it. I thought he was going to take over the team, and you're going to see like a game by game by game, which they do a little bit of that on the struggles and how bad they are and then they start getting better, but really it wasn't they didn't there wasn't a lot of investment in each player, I should say. Like there's a little bit of backstory between like one or two, but nothing like what a typical type of sports movie would be, I guess. So it's a
Yeah,
little bit of
I would
a
argue this was more of like a redemption movie than it was a sports movie. Like
yeah.
it,
I
it
mean,
definitely
it's
has
it's
more of
more of
that
a
feel.
drama for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely more of just like there's a reason it's called The Way Back. Like it's finding your way back to peace and happiness and stuff. And like the main character I think is really sympathetic. Like I feel for him in like every scene that Ben Affleck is in. Like
Well, and I feel like he does really good projecting his own alcoholism into the
mhm.
movie, which I think is what elevates the movie up.
Yeah.
Is if it wasn't for him and his real story of dealing with alcoholism, I don't think it would be as good.
Yeah.
Probably not, like I mean it it was tough to watch in some scenes because you just see how sad like his life has become from like everything that happened to him, and it was like yeah, it's terrible what he's going through, but like people turn to that sometimes as a vice, and like this movie is about him trying to overcome that in the end, and like he's trying to find his way back through so many different things, whether it be rehab, his relationships with family and friends and stuff, and of course basketball is the main thing of the movie. And I thought that was really awesome to see, just like somebody trying to get their life back together in the form of a movie, especially with the type of context that it was, knowing that Ben Affleck had all those issues. I thought it was really well done. Anything else that you guys wanted to add, like any other performances or anything, plot related stuff, things like that? The movie's been out for a while, so I feel like we can kind of just talk freely, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit still to break down. I think in it. I think it's fairly slow, slow pace. I felt like it was a little long to me.
Yeah, I felt the opposite. I felt like it flew right by. Like it's an hour and 50 minutes, and
I felt like it was like 2.5 hours.
I never felt that. I felt like it just continually moved, but I feel like it needed to be longer. But that's just.
Yeah, I think there was elements where we could have dove a little bit deeper, maybe into his backstory of like how he got there. So for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, the premise of the movie, I guess a quick summary is back in the good old days, he used to be a really good basketball player. He went to state in this town or whatever. I don't even know what the town is actually. And ever since then, they're like just a horrible basketball team or whatever. And he gets married. I think, yeah, he's married. And then he's going through the divorce, I guess.
Oh, he's already.
They're separated.
They're separated, but they're not like done.
They're not.
Like,
they're about to get divorced, basically.
Yeah, I guess, but because like she's seen other people or seen somebody else, but there's like a scene where they're talking about how, he's like, well, we're not even like officially done or something like that. And anyways, just some random scene that it finds her and some guy, I guess. And then really basically he's a construction worker. He drinks beer like nonstop and whiskey, I guess, or alcohol or whatever. And then a guy from the school that he used to play for reaches out to him, and I guess the head coach had a heart attack or something like that. And then he replaced him and got that opportunity to switch the team, and the team is just like dead awful or whatever. And so there's a few scenes where he's just like cussing out players and stuff. It's kind of funny because it's like it's a Catholic school, I believe.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of there's a few scenes where they play it off where he's just this rough around the edges guy or whatever. And then, they have this, what'd you call that guy that goes with the team? He's like the pastor for the team.
I'd say he's more like a deacon or something. I'm not sure. But like,
anyway,
he's there to just try to make sure that the team stays on the right track and doesn't like get wild or anything. And then they have their coach who's over there, who's foul-mouthed and everything, who's just really lost his way. He's like on the side of the court. He's cussing the referees out and things like that. And like, they're supposed to be like a religious school, and you just have this like priest or deacon or whatever his official title is. That guy is sitting there and he's just like silently judging him the whole time. And that's where like a little bit of the humor for this movie comes into play, is you just see this one person who's like overly concerned for somebody with like their language and everything, because like this guy's not in a good place. And he just sort of takes this job just kind of because, but he starts to get invested in these kids, and his assistant coach is like, you have no idea the actual level of impact you could have on these kids. Like, people know who you are. Your like jersey is up in our gym. Like, you're a big deal to people around here. And that, I think, really starts to have an impact on him by around the end of the first act, maybe a little later in.
I mean, I would say somewhere in the middle act, because the middle act is like the redemption act, where things start to turn around for him. Which, without spoiling the movie, I like how the third act goes. Mm-hmm. I like that it doesn't just end the movie just because you won a basketball tournament or a game. It wasn't even the tournament. Just because you won a game, your life is just going to be better. It's not. I mean, that's not.
Yeah,
always the
ending I think is actually the best part of the movie.
Right, and me and my wife were talking on our way out. I was like, if it wasn't for the last 20 minutes of the movie, I don't think I'd like it as much. I think that ending and I don't want to spoil it because I feel like you need to just watch the movie. I mean, it's
however
good
you can.
It'll be digitally on Tuesday.
Oh, really?
So at the time we're recording this,
Tuesday?
Tuesday it's available digitally.
Well, there you go.
The the hard part with this movie and any movie kind of like this is if you're wanting any hope or if you're wanting any more, turnaround and stuff. Because if you start off really low, you always want to end up on a higher note, typically, or at least for me. And this one, even in the high notes, you still get that reflection of the alcohol, and he still struggles with it during this whole time. So even whenever you get to that high moment, you still realize the depression and the alcohol and all that is still very, very strong, heavy and stuff. So whenever you get to that, you don't get rewarded with the high moments too much. You try to cling on to the hope, but I mean, it's a lot more realistic and a lot more, for people that struggle with that a lot.
Yeah, I'd say it's a lot more grounded.
More yeah, it's a lot more. So and that's what with most sports movies.
They end on like a sappy, like, we did it, we conquered, like, we won, type of thing. And like, this is more real. Like, I felt like the impact of it was more real. I was like, wow, this person's getting their life together. This is just the first step. You don't just get to the end in 2 hours. And I actually really liked that, because I was expecting him to, like, overcome all of his personal demons by the end, essentially, and like just be fine. And like, you see that that's kind of happening, but like, the movie makes it clear that like the way back, like the actual way back in A Path of Redemption, is going to take a lot longer than just a short amount of time. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Right, and I agree with that. I think having that aspect of it is good. The director of this did a movie called Warrior a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's the UFC brother one, and that ends on a very bittersweet note as well. And I feel like this movie, while nowhere near as good as Warrior, takes some of the same thematics.
I would agree with that.
There's an ending to things, but it's not black and white. It's not just an instant turnaround. Everything's fixed. That it's something you have to work towards. And
yeah, one of the things I feel like there's just a missing element maybe in this movie is a side character or anything. They have a kid that's really, really shy on the team, and he names him the team captain, and you kind of see a little bit of development with him, but I didn't feel like you got a really good completion of a story for him.
Right.
And with that, something on a clinging to hope kind of thing with, I wish they would have developed that a little bit more. You could have heard a little bit more backstory instead of just kind of teasing it. Something about it, there was just something missing, that just some sort of element, and it's hard to pinpoint that. But
I think for me, and I agree with you, I think the kids are the biggest thing that's missing. Some of them have characters, but they're not really fleshed out. I mean, Ben Affleck is so good that he steals the entire show, and he becomes the main focus, but to the point where the kids don't get that focus. I mean, nor does the wife, the ex-wife. I mean, she's there as a character as well, but she's not really. She's there only some. None of them. Some like Brandon is the team captain. He has a character arc, but it's not one we really take the journey with. It's more of just we're seeing everything through Ben Affleck's eyes, and it's only just a reflection of him.
Yeah, I just wish that there would have been at least really good development scene. Like, he picks him up off the street and tries to talk to him a little bit a couple times, I think, and takes him home. And then you see a little bit with his parents, just like a very, very little bit, just a little clip. But I wish they would have went a little bit deeper into it, or if they would have had an interaction with Brandon and the team without Ben Affleck. And like, they had one scene where he's like, hey guys, we may have lost our coach and we may have done this or whatever. But I wish there would have been a little bit more of behind the scenes on it. Maybe they're at a party, or maybe something else happens behind it, and he takes that step or whatever. Maybe it intertwines with Ben Affleck's character or something like that. I don't know. There's just something missing in that element. When you have at least a hint of a sports team movie, you want to see the team a little bit more than Ben. And like our Brandon said that some of that is just because Ben Affleck does steal the show a little bit, and it is so dark and kind of gloomy on his struggles because his performance is so good on that. But it just, for whatever reason, it's not a movie I could probably rewatch, to be honest, maybe a few years down the road if I've, it's just kind of, I don't know. I just didn't come out of there just going, "Oh man, that was great," but I didn't think it was just terrible at the same time.
I think it's like around the good spectrum. Like if you had to rank it from like awful, okay, good, great, I would say it was good. So
Yeah.
I'd say it's like around like that 7.5 range, maybe 8, depending on who you ask. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's 6.5. I would
that's
say
fair.
as we're moving towards more things being video on demand or things that are available digitally right now, if it was on like HBO or something where you could just stream it, then I'd be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, go watch it. But if you're gonna pay $20 to watch it, I don't know if I wouldn't
Yeah, I don't
recommend
know
No.
it
if
for that.
I would. I would probably say don't buy this on digital when other movies are probably about to be released on digital that are supposed to be in theaters right now. I'd
Right,
say
like Onward was just released
I'd
digitally,
say
and I mean, like,
I'd say Onward would be what I would recommend between the two. Um, any other
This
movies
is a,
that are coming out soon? I can't think of any off the top of my head. But like, let's say if for whatever reason, um, like Black Widow came out on digital early, which it probably won't. Like, let's be honest. But if it did, I'd be like, buy that instead. Like, obviously we
but I
haven't
mean,
seen
like
it
you,
yet, but
right, and I mean, I'm just saying, like, compared to what there is, if I was telling you how to watch this, I would never recommend paying full
yeah.
price for this movie. And I mean,
yeah,
like, if you're like super into Ben Affleck, then sure, pay the $20. But if you are just curious about the movie, it's worth a rent. I think if there's like I know you can rent things for like $4 or $5. And if that's available, sure. But
yeah.
don't pay $20 to watch this movie.
No, I
It'll
wouldn't
probably
either.
get on Netflix in a couple years or something like that, and that would be a time
Well,
just to randomly watch it.
Warner Brothers made it, so it'll eventually end up on HBO. So I figured
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that'll
where I
probably
mean when it's
happen.
on there. Which, if they follow like Onward's available digitally now to buy, and then on April 3rd you can watch it on Disney Plus. So, I mean, maybe in like a month you'll see it on HBO, and then I would be like, yeah, sure, give it a watch. You know,
Yeah,
if you can.
I think
I
that's
mean, for
fair.
that it's worth it, but
Watch it on whatever streaming service has it. Other than that, you're not missing a whole lot.
right.
I think
So,
that's
final
pretty much.
thoughts. I mean,
I liked Ben Affleck a lot in this movie. I actually think that he's actually a very good actor. Like I've seen him in several other performances. I've watched him grow as an actor, and this is a solid performance from him. Personally, um, oh, Brandon's adjusting his camera. Okay, I was
I'm
like,
sorry, I had a yeah.
the
Sounds like
video
Mark
just
got-
started stuttering. We're fine. Just I was like, uh-oh, what's happening? I was about to like tell you guys we needed to pause and check everything, but we're good. Yeah, Ben Affleck's performance is solid. I think that's the best part of the movie. But other than that, I don't feel like you're missing a whole lot. If you've seen a good Ben Affleck performance, you've seen one. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, 6.5. It's very enjoyable for Affleck's performance. The kids are all right, but beyond that, I mean, I wouldn't recommend paying for it. But if you can get it on streaming service, then by all means, I definitely think it's worth a watch for him. But for the rest of it, I think it's just okay.
Yeah. I would give it a 6, just in my opinion. So that's where I'm at with that.
all right, so that concludes our conversation of The Way Back, starring Ben Affleck. Thank you all so much for watching, listening. Please make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, any other streaming or video
on
services
Stitcher
that we
now.
have. What's that?
We're on Stitcher now.
We're on
So if you
Stitcher
have
now.
a podcast, yep. If you listen to podcasts on Stitcher, we are also on Stitcher now. So just look us up on Nothing Coherent.
If you honestly look up Nothing Coherent, you probably will find us at this point. I've seen us like on just about everything. That's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you all so much.